We will still wait. It's still 11:08. We will still wait for a few minutes. Please ask your classmates to join the session soon. We will still wait for 2-3 minutes. Okay. In the last lab session, which questions we have done? Please check and let me know. Have we done the multi-threading question, question number 18? Okay, so question number 18 is left, right? This question is left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, now this 18th question relates to your producer and consumer problem of your thread synchronization. So we remember that problem. We have extended that session for 2 sessions in producer and consumer. What happens is 2 threads are fighting over the same resource, so the resource has to be synchronized so that both the threads can get access to that resource. And once one of the thread is finished executing the function, then and then only another thread will get the control over that function. If I give you the first example that I have given to you of your thread unit in lab practicals, then I have told you to create run in such a way that it prints 1 to 10. Simply, it is printing 1 to 10. Then, and you have created from your main class, you have created 3 different threads, T1, T2, and T3. And if you start all these 3 threads, then you will find the sequence in an abrupt fashion. Meaning the CPU can schedule any one of the thread execution at any time. And if T1 is printing 1 and 2, then it will break the sequence and T2 gets the control. And maybe it is printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And maybe T3, before T3 even gets the control, this T1 is scheduled and it prints the rest of the numbers. It is in an abrupt fashion. We don't have the control when it is not synchronous. When it is asynchronous, we don't have the control over the thread execution. Now, if we just make this method synchronized, if we make a method synchronized in the sense now T2, T3 and T1, all three threads have to wait. If T1 is executing and printing 1 to 10, then the CPU is allocated to T1 only. T2 and T3 are in the waiting state and they don't have the control over the CPU. Once T1 is done, the CPU can choose to take T2 or T3 in whichever way he wants to execute. Again, if T2 is chosen, then T2 will finish executing the numbers till 1 to 10, and then only T3 will get a chance. So when it is synchronous, this is the scenario. In the question, it is mentioned very clearly that we need to create 3 threads in synchronization. So first thing is we need to create synchronous functions over here. Another thing that will reduce the input number by 1 every time and display the output as follows. Okay, fine. So we need to create thread in synchronization in such a way that it reduces the number by 1 every time. So if the input is 15 for thread 1, then 15 to 1. If input is 10 for thread 2, then 10 to 1. If it is 5, then 5 to 1. In that way, you need to print the numbers. Are you, first of all, getting the question here? Are you getting the question what we need to do here? Then we can go ahead with the solution. Okay. Then to make this, to create 3 threads will definitely need, if you are implementing runnable, then you will need 3 threads for sure. That is one thing. And one more thing you need to do is you need to make the method synchronous. Now your run method, which is predefined in your thread class, you cannot put synchronization over here because it is the overriding problem. This method is asynchronous by default. So what we can do is, in our test class, no, we, instead of creating run, we create some different method print, and we make this method synchronized, which is, printing in the decrement whatever is the number to 1. So one thing is sure that we need to pass here number. That is one thing that we know for sure. And this class, this function print, which is synchronized because it is mentioned that you need to create a synchronization. Method should be in synchronization. Okay. So the print method is synchronized and it is printing number to 1. That is for sure with us. That we already know. Now, if I extend thread over here or implement runnable over here, then I need to provide the body of my run method. But instead of passing the run method here, say for example, I am creating a whole, again you can do it in any which way you want. I am creating a whole separate another class here, and this class is implementing runnable. So now I can give the body of my run method. Okay, and here in your run, I can call this print of class tester, and I can pass some number over here. So your run is calling print in turn, and it is printing number to 1. Now, to call this print, you will need the object of test class. No. Okay, so you are creating the object of test class here. And you are passing that ob.print and you are calling your num here. In your main, what we are doing the same thing. We are creating our void main. Then we are creating, as you are implementing runnable over here. Alright. So whenever you are implementing runnable, you will need to create the thread for sure. Right. But you need to pass the object of which class you want to create the thread for. I want to create the thread for another class. So I am passing the object of another over here. And the same way you are doing it for T2 and T3, and then you are starting your 3 threads. Now, whenever you are passing your O, is so far, first of all, the picture clear in your mind what you are doing here, then we can move forward. Is so far the picture clear in your mind what I am trying to do here? Yes. Is so far the picture clear in your mind what we are trying to achieve here? Yes or no? Okay, fine. Then, whenever I am passing O here, it is pointing to all the threads are pointing to the same class O. That is what synchronization means, right? You are accessing the same resource, but different threads. Here are resources, another class object O. Now, if I create the object like this, then you want your all the threads point to the same memory location of OB, because print is synchronous. So your print should be accessible by all the object T1, T2, and T3 by the same object of O. Meaning, the point I'm trying to convey here is that every time I create a new thread here, it will create different OBs every time. What I want to do, I don't want to create OB over here. In the sense, I can actually create another class's object in the way I am creating test classes object. If you remember your producer and consumer, we were creating the constructor of your producer and consumer both. In the same way, we can pass here resource R for producer and consumer both to point at the same location. We used to pass here resource, which was the resource that you are accessing with the producer and consumer both. At the same time, you want to access the same resource. So we were passing here the object of type resource. So what we want to do here, we want to do the same thing. We want to pass here the object of class test. I am not creating the OB here, no. And I am assigning this R to OB in the sense, what we will do here now is we will create the object of your test class and we will make your another class's object point to the same memory location of OB1. So now if O is pointing to OB1, then all the threads which are created henceforth all will be pointed to OB1 of your test class, which is having the synchronized print method. So I can pass this constructor. I am creating the constructor in such a way that I am passing your test classes object here in the constructor, which is received in here, which is initialized by this statement. So now OB is also pointing to OB1 itself. And henceforth, if you call OB.print, it is going to access the same memory location. That is, you are creating here OB1 of test class and it is having some print method. So now all the three threads, T1, T2, T3 are pointing to OB1. How come? Because T1 is created with O. It is going to be the thread of class another, class another, class another. And O is created with the help of OB1. And even your O, as your O is pointing to your print, this OB1, that is the reason your T1, T2, and T3, all three are pointing to your same memory location, OB1. So this assures that you are accessing your print function simultaneously with all the three threads at the same time. So your print has to be synchronous. Otherwise, it is okay if it is not synchronous. But why it is synchronous? Because all the three threads that you are creating of this class another are pointing to OB1 itself. And what is OB1? Object of test class. The same object I am passing when creating all the three threads. So that is the reason OB is initialized like this. And why it is initialized like this? I can also create the object of OB like this. That is okay. But then for every new thread, it is creating new memory allocations, which we don't want. We want all the threads to point to the same memory allocation. So I am passing that OB here in the constructor, which is passed here. And that is the reason your OB is getting initialized. And that is the reason when you call, when the start method is calling run now, it is already having the OB object as OB1. And so in turn it calls OB1.print. Is so far things getting clear in your mind or not? Yes. Okay, fine. Then the program is done. Then you are done with the program. Now, one thing you need to take care is while passing num, from where do you will get this num? How I'll pass the number from here? You can do it here itself. Along with the constructor of another, you can also pass some integer, whatever integer you want, that you can pass here. See, if I am creating the OB with, say, for example, 15 as the number, then this number I can pass here. No, I can pass this number here. I can initialize my global number. With that number, I can make it 10 over here, and I can initialize like this. And that is the reason your number is getting some value from here. All right. One more thing to think about is if you are creating one object O and you are creating threads with the same object, then they will have same 15 as the number. If you want different numbers, then you can do something like this. O1, okay. Then you can create values like this, whatever value you want to pass. But again, just to make one thing very clear, if you are creating a thread with O1, O2 or O3, doesn't matter. Why? Because all of the objects O1, O2 and O3 are created using same OB1, OB1, OB1. So again, you are having three different objects, three different threads, pointing to again the same memory location of OB1. So even if you create three different objects of another, it doesn't matter. You can pass one more parameter here in form of number, which can be passed here also, which initializes the global number in turn. And now you can, whenever your start is called, it is calling this print, it is calling with that particular number. So in turn, your method print will have that particular number to print in hand. That also you can do. But make sure that you are passing the same OB1, OB1, OB1 here, so that you are pointing to the same print function. OB1's print is created only once. It is called to different threads at different times with different parameters. That is multi-threading. I want you to try one more thing here. Perform the same program without synchronized keyword first, and then add synchronized keyword. The first change that I'm suggesting you is that with and without synchronization. Another change I want to suggest here is that if you remember the get name function, the get name function that gets the current name of the thread. While you are printing these numbers, if I want to make sure which thread is currently printing the number, I can also print the name of the thread by using get name function. And as your test doesn't know anything about threads and your thread is implemented over here, you can pass one more parameter here in printer, which is of type string, that is nothing but your get name. So you can pass here get name because it implements runnable. No, you can call thread function get name over here, and here you can receive that in some string s, And while printing, you can concatenate that S so we can get to know that which thread is currently printing which numbers. Are you getting these two changes that I wanted to implement here? First, without synchronization, then do it with synchronization. Second thing, implement the get name function so we can get to know which thread is currently from T1, T2, and T3, which thread is currently executing the run method and which thread is currently executing the print method with the get name function. Are you getting what you need to do here? Yes. Are you getting this program or not? It is the implementation of producer consumer. If you are not able to understand, I am happy to do it again. But if you are okay, then please try. Then please try this program. Once you try this, you will be able to see how multi-threading is implemented in the real sense and how synchronization is working. And if it is not working, then what will happen? It is a smaller subset of producer consumer because in producer consumer you will need one more class as thread for accessing the same resource. Here we are implementing only one class, that's it. Another class is only implementing or accessing the resource. That is your test class. You can please try this program. If you are struggling anywhere, just unmute yourself or write your queries in the chat box, but please try this. Yes, done with this question, or you're still doing it? It is a very simple question. Please do it fast. If anybody is facing any problems, just let me know. I will help you out. Yes, Anand, please share your screen. Yes, I am able to see your screen. Mm, okay. Yes, you have called get name and correct. Yes, good. Okay. Yes, you are printing at the end. Okay. 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 Fine. 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 Yes, correct. Correct. If you don't use synchronized keyword, then the output is not in a proper fashion, right?
बट मैम ये तो 0 to 1 में है, लाइन में
Mm-hmm.
नहीं है थ्रेड.
Acha, it is not in line. Okay, let me check it once. Show me your output. In output, your thread is. Oh, okay. That line you are telling, sequence you are telling.
यस, थ्रेड 0 थ्रेड.
Okay, okay, that way. No, 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 no. See, that is again dependent on the CPU only, to which thread it will allocate the memory to. But if thread 1 is executing, then thread 0 or 2 will not come in between to execute the rest of its numbers, right?
ओके.
That is synchronization. But which of this thread will CPU select? That is based on again round robin or that FCFS. That we cannot decide. That is again CPU dependent. But if you remove the word synchronized, then you check the output. Then if thread 1 is executing, then thread 0 also can come and execute the output. There is no ordered fashion in that.
ओके.
And yeah, that is the thing. If you use synchronized keyword, then it is in synchronization. Yes. Good, good, good. Now, Anand, I am sharing my screen uh, for the questions of file handling. While others are doing this question, please try to see these questions. Yes, I'm sharing my screen now. Yes, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. File handling questions, very easy questions. In the first question, we need to create a text file, and if it exists, you don't have to create it. If it exists, you simply print the size of the file, the name of the file, path of the file, and whether it is a file or a directory. Now, if you remember the file handling session, then for creating a file, first we need to create the file object. So I can mention here, there are different constructors of file class. The first constructor is name of the file along with the path of the file. Another constructor for pointing to a file is you can separate the path, comma separated, you can give the name. Another constructor for creating the file is you are creating f first and for locating to the file, and f1 you are passing f comma name of the file. Every constructor is pointing to the same file itself. Along with path, you can give name directly here. Path is C drive, whatever is the location of that file. Either you can create a file using this constructor or this. Everything is okay. But even if you create the file with any of the constructor, this will not create the file. This will point to that location. If you wish to create the file, then you need to call this function create new file, which will throw some exception, because if the location is improper, then the file may not be created. So always surround your block with try and catch, or put throws exception in front of your void main. Whatever suits you, you can do it. So in the first question, if the file exists, then don't create it. If the file doesn't exist, then you have to create new file. If the file exists, then just print these properties of the file. And all these properties can be retrieved by f itself. Get name is a function, get path is a function, length is a function. All these functions you can use to print the properties of the file. Are you getting the first question? What you have to do? Yes, please try the first question. If anybody is facing any issues, just let me know. Yes, please share your screen, Dwarkesh. Yes, I can see your screen. Okay. Please scroll up. You are creating. Yes. Okay. Yes, you are printing it. Okay. Synchronized. Okay. You are passing string s and it is thread dot current thread dot get name. Okay. Correct. 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 Good. 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 Yes. 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 Size of the file can be retrieved by length function. Michelle. Length of the file is the size of the file. Yes, Ramita, you can stop sharing. Yes, please start working on the file question. I am sharing my screen again for the questions. Yes, Michelle, you can check both and check the output what it is printing when you print when you access both the functions. You can check it. Please check. Yes, 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 you are right, Anand. Yes, sir. Done with the first question. You can share your screen if you're done. Yes, I can see your screen. Yes. If okay, if it is creating new file, it is returning true and false. If it is true, then get the name. Otherwise, if it is already there, then okay, correct. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. Done, done, done. Yes, I'm sharing my screen for the next question. Yes, in the next question, we are simply creating a folder using mkdir. Now, for creating folder, the same thing you need to use, same file object we need to use. You can use any of the constructor, but just make sure that name doesn't contains the extension so that it creates a folder. And for creating the folder, we need to use the function mkdir. For creating single folder, we use this function make directory. The same function is there, I think, in Linux also for creating directories. You can use this function for creating a directory. You can use the same file constructor, it is okay. Just don't mention the extension that will make it as a folder. That's it. And in the next question, question number 3, you need to create hierarchy of folders like this. So can you create hierarchies like this? Please try that using mkdirs. S stands for multiple directories. So just check if you are able to do this or not using mkdirs. And mkdir is used for creating single directory. Yes, please try the next question if you are done with the first one. Yes, done with the next second, third question. Please share your screen if you are done. Yes, done with the second and third question. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. Now, I'm. Yes, Michelle.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, yes, Michelle.
When we are using mkdirs,
Uh huh.
it creates multiple folders.
Yes, it creates multiple folders in the
Okay.
header. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, the next question is actually one of the questions of your lab manual itself. I am sharing my screen for the lab manual question. Okay. But before we see this question, see in your lab manual, the question is write the main method that takes the name of the text file as the command line argument and prints every line in the lowercase. It actually means that you need to give the name of the file, you need to take the name of the file as input from user, and you need to print the lines of the file which are written inside the file in lowercase. So we can use to lowercase the string function to execute that. That is okay. But first thing is the data should be in the file. So to practice file writing along with reading, I am suggesting that first you write the file yourself in the program, and then in the next program try to read the file. So to write the data into the file, we use the file writers object. Okay, so you can create the file object whichever way you want, and you can create the file writers object. No, and pass that file name here, and you can use the write function to write the records on this file. Okay, just try to write a few commands on this file and see whether it is working or not. Make sure that you close the file writer. Once you are done writing all the lines, you close it. If you will not close it, then the contents will not be saved onto your file. So please try the file writer example first. Then once writing is done, we can go ahead with reading the file line by line. Are you getting what you need to do first here?
This is a practical question.
Yes, yes, yes. See, the question in the practical states that you have to read the file. You have to read the file and you have to print the readed file in the lowercase letters. But to read the file, you must write the file. So we are writing the file first. In the first example, you are writing the file. Then we will read the same file once your writing is done. Got it?
Yes.
Yes, please try this question. Yes, now to read the file from the same file, okay, just make sure that you are writing the data using /n, because we want to write multiple words also. At the same time, we want to write multiple lines also. In the sense, your file should have words also, sentences also, and lines also, anything in this sense, so that you are embedding lines, different lines and words also, so that we can extract it line by line also and word by word also. Just to make this thing sure that you are embedding in that sense. Another thing is, to read the file, we can do the same thing. For reading the file, we can use a scanner, right? If you remember, scanner can be used for reading the input from system.in input stream also. At the same time, scanner can be used to read the data from this file. So, how can scanner read the data? Till the file has next lines. So, scan dot has next line. Has next line is a function which ensures that till your file is having records, your scanner should read next lines from your file. So this will read the first line, which you can store it in some string, and you can print it in a lowercase fashion also if you want to print, in uppercase also if you want to print. In however way you want to print, you can print this line, but your scanner will read one line, because next line extracts the one lines only. And till your file is having the next lines, your scanner will read. Once your line, all the lines are read, then this will return false and it exits this infinite while loop. Are you getting what we need to do here? Yes. Okay, please try this. Yes, are you able to read and write the records successfully in the file? Okay, okay, that is good. That is good. Okay, okay, okay. Then it is also see in this question you need to take command line arguments. But if from the if you remember your session of command line arguments, you can pass this as the command line whenever you are running your file. You can pass the name of the file. You know, uh, sorry, a.txt. Whenever you are running the file from the command prompt, you can compile using this way. But whenever you are running, you can provide it space separated arguments. Do you remember that session of command line or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then it is good. Okay, okay, fine, fine, fine. Then we can move on to the next question that counts the number of words in the text file whose name is accepted from standard input, meaning system.in. So in this question, you need to create two objects of scanner class. One object will be pointed to system.in and another object is pointed to the file that you are reading. You need to count the number of words. So just like you have has the next line, you also have has next for reading till the last word, and you also have next for reading one word. So this you can use, and it is required that you are counting the number of words. Okay, so you just take a counter, and as soon as it reads the word, no, you can increment the counter by one and print the counter. That is this next question. You also need to print the size of the file, that is the length of the file. That is okay. Are you understanding what you need to do in this question? Yes. Okay, okay. Please, then please try this question. If you are facing any difficulties, let me know. But make sure that you are creating two separate objects, one pointing to the system.in for a scanner and another pointing to the file that you wish to read. Okay, there are two different objects here because one object can be used for one purpose only. So one object scanner one you can create for pointing to system.in. Another object you can create for pointing to reading the data from the file.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, yes, Michelle.
Ma'am, can you explain 20 again?